Hey guys, Louie here again and welcome back to Acorn Hill. I am so excited to share with you my experience about this much beloved robot during my time. VOLTES 5 is one of the 5 major cartoons that populated TV land back in the 70s when I was growing up. I first was introduced to VOLTES 5 back in 1977. I was 7 years old. And every weeknight at 6 p.m. a major network back home would be showing robots, and each robot has their own story, own set of characters, own set of lead, and how they would fight the forces of evil. And VOLTES 5 was shown on a Friday, and it has become part of our childhood. I belong to Generation X group. This is part of our childhood, and you ask anybody born in the 70s and I can bet you 99.9% any kid, whether they would know who VOLTES 5 was and who VOLTES 5 is and what VOLTES 5 really represents. So we hold a thoughtful nostalgia to VOLTES 5, and we like because they have its own set of characters, own set of different spaceships that convert and turn when they stick together. When they volt in, they would be forming a big electromagnetic robot. For a 70s kid, a 7-year-old, back when life was a little simpler, when they were first sold in the Philippines, they were quite expensive, and we did not have enough funds for us to be able to buy them. I remember walking by along with my aunt at Cash and Carry, market for imported goods back in the Philippines, and when I first saw the first set ever of VOLTES 5 in different spaceship forms, packaged in different colorful boxes, I wanted it so bad to own them. But when you don't have enough funds to buy first edition die-cast animated toys, that could get quite expensive. Anyway, 40 years have passed, but never have I owned a good model in a good unit where the spaceships are bigger, and when you put the spaceships together and volt them in, so to speak, this thing is about 14 inches high. But today I am excited as I slowly form a series on my VOLTES 5 and the liking for VOLTES 5, and how we can, as collectors and as viewers of the program, have a good way to admire this new resurgence, especially to the younger generation. Today I will show you, I will feature each spaceship. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We'll do our best to keep this very informative and highly enjoyable, to inform people and to show you our latest acquisition, which is the VOLTES 5 Volt in Box DX animated robot figure here on Acorn Hill. For those of you who stumbled into the channel, I'll invite you later, but I'll invite you now. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I have new subscribers that have come on board. You guys, you will get your fill and will get your proper information, good content, and fun stuff that we could all learn from and enjoy and talk about. So any of you who have the VOLTES 5 collectible, go on ahead and comment. Put your comments on the comment box, and let's have a conversation about it. Those of you who have already started doing their reviews and showcasing their VOLTES 5 toy, I salute you guys. I am happy to join in the fold, and let's all have fun with VOLTES 5 and with the characters and the storyline behind it. So without further ado, this is the video from here on Acorn Hill. Alrighty, you guys, now we get to the exciting part that we will get would be the Volt Crewzer, the spaceship that forms the head of the robot. It is piloted by Steve Armstrong, and many of you guys know who he is, and we are going to study this in detail and see the features that it has for the Volt Crewzer. Okay, you guys, now we are going to look closely at how it is the lightest among the 5 that you get from the box. What I have over here is a digital scale, and so for the Volt Crewzer is 65 grams, and because we are doing a comprehensive review, I wanted to give you the dimensions from the tip of the exhaust to the front It is 4.5 inches long from back to front, from the very tip of the spaceship all the way to the bottom of by the pair of exhaust. Now wing to wing, we have from here to there 3 3/4 inches from that tip to that tip. Now there are several fins. You have these dorsal posterior fins. The thickness from the midsection all the way down to the bottom, that is about 1.5 inches right there. Okay, and from the top part of this dorsal fin of the wing to the wheel, 1.5 inches from top to bottom. Gives you an idea on how small it is compared to the other, on how much it weighs, the whole dimension of the piece. Let's measure these projections on the side, the ears of VOLTES 5. I'm curious to know how much that would be, and that's again 1.5 inches from one ear to the next. The Volt Crewzer is mostly red. The predominant color for this spaceship is red. Yellow on these flippers. These are weapons. Whenever Steve Armstrong would be using them, say distinct bright yellow. You have the translucent glass encasement, the roof of the cockpit, electric blue, nicely setting off the white, and the white stripe down the middle. There's also a light blue coloration on the dorsal part of the posterior fins. It's very streamlined. The simplest of all among all the 5 spaceships. The aerodynamic, there's a careful consideration. Even when shown as a cartoon, it is very streamlined. You get the aerodynamic motion just looking at the robot, and those that are into design and into building design, this is a handsome piece because it's well proportioned, setting off everything. Those are the wheels, and these wheels could flip down. There's the other wheel that could also flip down that way. It's well balanced, it doesn't tip, it doesn't move, and we know that once we put this right on top of Camp Big Falcon, that it's going to be secure. Sits on is that top portion. This is where every single pilot from command center and into the cockpits of those different spaceships. There you go. That's where it sits on Camp Big Falcon, Volt Crewzer, spaceship number 1, piloted by Steve Armstrong. After the Volt Crewzer, up next is the Volt Bomber. The Volt Bomber is the spaceship that forms the shoulder girdle and the arms of VOLTES 5. Look at that. Fresh out of the box. And so we are going to do the same thing. We're going to study all the features. We're going to measure it. We're going to weigh it and see how this robot fares. This is the Volt Bomber. It's the second spaceship among the 5 spaceships for the Volt machine, Volt in Box, and also is piloted by Mark Gordon. He's the second pilot in the 5-member team, Volt team for VOLTES 5. Volt Bomber came in this position while it is still in the box. Looking at the way we need to put it together and form into a spaceship, carefully flip this arm and bring down. There are 3 joints here, so there's 1, there's another one, that's 2, 3, and then there's this ball and socket joint that is attached to the arm itself. So we're going to be very careful because it's our first time. It's my first time to play around with this. This is made of plastic. You know, everything here is made of plastic, high grade one. That's made of metal, and I'm sure there are rubber stoppers and bearing joints, whatnot within that assembly. We're just going to be very careful. The items and the designs to every single piece of the robot is well thought out. So now I'm just going to flip this there. There's more details on how to put them together, especially this part. You can see it there. It should correspond to that nubbin, and that should keep it in place. But right now, I'm going to be very, very careful with it. I think that with this size, we can place this on the weighing scale, that second spaceship is 232 grams. We're going to be doing an approximation because the forearm parts of the robot are not quite attached to the central part of the robot. But for now, in this position, that robot, this is the wrist area, because you see his fists. But at the wrist area, at the widest part, wait for it, it'll be 4.5 inches without those parts completely attached to the central part of the robot. These are the forearms, arms, and when it goes up to the shoulders, they taper up. And so in a spaceship position at the shoulders, 4.25 inches wide. Now for the length of the arms, in this position, the spaceship measures 5 inches long. Let's measure the central from that metal joint to the top of it all the way to the tip. That will be 4.5 inches long. From that tip up to the shoulder bearing. The Volt bomber is a whole new different type of spaceship. It's flown this way. Cockpit is right here. Same color, iridescent blue, neon blue for the top part, the roof of the cockpit. This is where you get the forearm. VOLTES 5, that's the wrist area, that distinct yellow. VOLTES 5's, you get VOLTES 5's fist and hand nicely tucked in the spaceship. This is a good combination of colors as well. Yellow, blue, silver gunmetal shade, and that distinct red. There's not a lot of red on the spaceship. It's mostly an even distribution of blue, silver, gunmetal, and even down to the back of it. Streamlined design, very simple when it comes to the exhaust for the robot, but it flies like this. Isn't that neat? Now that I can physically hold this thing, it's a different feeling because it brings back a lot of boyhood memories when one watches this at 6 p.m. on a Friday and everybody's glued to the TV and everybody just loves this robot. So there's spaceship number 2, Volt bomber, that now will sit. The Volt bomber sits right over there on that landing. For now, I'm gonna set this on launch pad, slowly forming now Camp Big Falcon and where they all need to sit. So far, so good. Doing fairly well here and moving right along. The third spaceship is the Volt Panzer. The Volt Panzer, hang on, let me just move the Panzer up and be very careful with the plastic still intact on it. It is a bulky, hefty piece of Volt machine, and it is the third machine that forms now the body, the torso of VOLTES 5. This is piloted by Steve Armstrong's brother, Big Bert Armstrong, and it is a handsome piece as a spaceship alone. There's a lot that we can talk about this, and so we shall go ahead and give you all the features of it. This is the third spaceship, the Volt Panzer for VOLTES 5. Now, when we took it out of the box, it came shaped like this. I haven't done any finagling and reassembly for it, but look at the way this thing is constructed. You got a good, again, high-grade plastic that holds all the encasement and the body of the robot. It's got a matte finish for the abdominal area, and for the chest area you get the distinct blue, the very distinct red. That is the VOLTES 5 red that really sets off that good color combination. You also have a yellow translucent light bulb that will light up once everything is assembled. There's a special feature for it. A lot of good details to this, and there's that orangey yellow, almost like a melon orange that make up the pincers of the Panzer spaceship. Now this is like a tractor, this thing. Even the rubberized parts of the wheels and the tractor for this is functional. You can actually move it, and you get a good grade, really detailed, without any of those seam lines that you get. So the mold that they used for this part of the robot is also well thought of, because it's clean. You do not see any seam line. This doesn't have it, and so it's a more flexible. You look at that. Look at the detail that you see for the different segments. It works well. It sets off the different parts of the robot, and there's a different feel to it, and it's a heavy piece, nicely secured in the middle. The Volt Panzer is 334 grams, the way it is built. That's a pretty heavy piece. Now it's time to measure this yet again. We're now ready to view and see what the third spaceship does. Volt Panzer. This is piloted by Big Bird. And the way it came, shaped like this. It comes with several jointed spaceship, because you got a joint over here, and there's the second one, there's a third and a fourth one over there, and then this thing comes together and it snaps together. So I'm just going to unflip everything here. There we go. And see how we can assemble. In a minute. Let me put this down and put the camera down. That way we don't get all the images that are behind. So according to the manual, this thing can go out. This thing, that joint that attaches to the side, the oblique part of VOLTES 5, could slide out. That's what I'll try to do. There we go. You see how it projected outward? That will allow for this to be flipped this way. Now that we were able to adjust these things and they projected outward, now we can flip this way. Alright, so basically we put the lander part right underneath the V of VOLTES 5, and so you can actually stand it this way. Better three-dimensional perspective right there. Now that you have that, now you can really see that this is what's making this robot move. That would be the bottom portion of the robot. Now to further adjust the robot, our goal is to bring these parts together so that it forms a solid base. And in order to do that, you see this arm, this plastic arm right here, from that circle to that circle. What we do is we flip this inward this way, and then we flip the whole thing that way, so that you're folding it and making it more streamlined. So this part should be almost parallel and conforming to the shape. This is the front abdominal part of the robot, but it goes that way. So now what we'll do on the opposite side is this arm, that plastic, is what we will flip inward, and we will flip the lander part that way, and we'll continue to bring this and draw it closer, so that now this curvy part, the bracket, is almost now conforming to the abdominal side. The bottom of it, we now need to attach together. You see that notch is where this nubbin with that horizontal clip would snap. I'm going to be very careful placing them together, and hopefully, there we go. Just pushing them lightly, you'll hear and feel a snap. So now, Big Bird, who's over here, oh wait a minute, it's not even. Wait a second. See how it's lopsided, not centered? So let's see what I can do to fix that. Again, it is my first time adjusting all of this. I do not want to be haphazard and accidentally snap off something or break something off as a piece. So hang on a minute. Okay, I see the problem. The reason why it's lopsided right now is, you see this bar, this plastic bar, that needs to go underneath, that way, underneath this plastic right here. So I'm going to unsnap this right now. There we go. And what we'll do is we'll flip this. We are going to flip this plastic that way. There's a lot more movement. There it is. See how this is going to move that way. So one needs to be careful in adjusting them. There you go. And we flip it inward. So now the moving part is this plastic at that joint. Same with this one at that joint. You have to even it out so that it goes in. That's a little bit more on the streamlined side. Also for this side. All we have to do now is attach. I'm feeling a little resistance to it, and I think what I need to do is move this inward back again so we can create a connection. Won't go in. And again, I do not want to force this. So for now, this is the best that I could adjust it to. So far things are even. I just have this gap. I'm having trouble figuring out how to snap things in place, but I really don't want to break it. Okay. Also, for this robot, the way it flies, it goes like this. You know, you get the pincers right along the front. For the robot, you only have just very few pieces of red on the robot along the back, and you get the shoulder pads that would correspond the letter M for the laser sword, and only just one distinct red along the front, which is the body, the major body of the cockpit. This also, by the way, flips up. All the cockpits that they have done, the roof flips up, and you can actually put a Big Bird, a pilot, inside. There's also, these are weapons as well. I think these are missiles in the cartoon, in the series, and those are red as well. There's that silvery gunmetal neutral color that they have. It's a hefty robot. It's a heavy robot. It's a tractor by way of construction and by way of how it looks like. And so this is the bulkiest robot that flies around. Very cubical in shape. Nice piece, nice one to have. And where it will go on Camp Big Falcon is right beside the bomber, right on that launch pad, and that's where we will place him right now. Number 3, Spaceship for the Volt machine, Volt in-box collectible, the Volt Panzer, piloted by Big Bert Armstrong. He's right there. Now that fits like a glove. The clearance between the pincer and the base, the underside of Steve Armstrong's Crewzer really is just, there's enough clearance there that now it's looking a little top heavy at the moment because we don't have those 2 spaceships on the bottom, but so far things are looking good. All right, good stuff. Next spaceship is the 4th spaceship in the VOLTES 5 series of 5 spaceships to form the robot. We now have the Volt Frigate. Volt Frigate forms the pelvis, the hips, the legs of VOLTES 5. It is another handsome piece of both plastic and metal construction to form a robot. and it's pretty hefty and it's heavy. And so we're gonna weigh this thing on the scale as a spaceship. Construction and appearance alone, very, very nice. It's one of those things that now it's different when you're physically holding it and you're not just admiring it from the picture. Let us review. Let us see what all the features are for the Volt Frigate, the fourth spaceship for the VOLTES 5 robot. Is the Volt Frigate. I am so happy just holding this piece right now. It is big, it's heavy, and I got my weighing scale over here. We're just gonna land him right on top on its own launch pad, so to speak. This is 463 grams total. I think that's a good shot right there. And we shall do our measurements using my handy tape measure. Piloted by Little John, and Little John goes right inside this little cockpit. When everything is streamlined, aerodynamically designed, it is tough sometimes to flip it open, but there is that little gap, a very fine gap right there that you could use an implement with to pry it open. There it is. Hopefully it goes all the way up, but again, I do not want to overhandle this at the moment and end up breaking it, flip all the way open. But for now, I'm leaving it as is. We're gonna measure from the tip of the cockpit all the way to the very back where the exhaust are located. So from tip to the front to back, we are looking at 9¼ inches long. Now from this missile all the way to the other missile, this is the widest part of the spaceship, and so from that end to that end, and right now this thing measures at an even 7 inches from tip to tip. Looking really good. This would form VOLTES 5's pelvis and hips. That's the hip joint right there, and the other hip joint is over there. So from the top of the hip right here all the way to the very bottom, which is the exhaust for that side of the robot, I am going to measure how long that is. But from there to there, that is 8 inches long. Good size spaceship. As the robot becomes heavier down by the torso, it does require longer legs, and these legs are well proportioned. I'm very happy with the way they've designed this robot because things don't look wonky and things look very balanced when you put them together and as a spaceship by itself, because this is the more predominant feature as a spaceship. As a unit itself, this is very obvious that it looks like a spaceship. Has a lot of blue on it with an even distribution in yellow. It balances the amount. That block of blue is balanced out by the yellow. I like that. And only with a few accents of red. So pleasing to look at. It's attractive to look at. And you know that when in the cartoon, when this flies like this, there's a lot of weapons that this spaceship has. We are creating a series for my collectible, and on the next episode, we will show all the weapons that each spaceship has. I know I'm stringing you guys along, also giving myself that same amount of suspense. I am not putting this together yet until we really look at it closely. Volt Frigate will go now and join spaceships number 1, 2, and 3, the Crewzer, the Bomber, and the Panzer on Camp Big Falcon. Exciting stuff. We're gonna place him right over here. This is his launch pad. Very nice. Place him over there and let him just kind of sit and join the group. Looking really good the way everything is now assembled. Last but certainly not the least is my favorite of all VOLTES 5 spaceships to form the robot. This is Volt Lander. It's a pair of ships that form the ankle unit and the foot unit of VOLTES 5. We are going to look at its features and look at all the specs for this robot. This is the 5th spaceship, Volt Lander. Off to my favorite spaceship among the 5, it will be the Volt Lander, which would correspond to the ankle and foot units of VOLTES 5. Now this is the easiest of all, but also the flimsiest, because they're only attached by magnets. And so they come together, moderately strong. The characteristic, the personality of this robot is always, or any spaceship for the robot, is mainly affected by the color. With this, the predominant color is red. You have the cockpits that are always blue. I think there's only one. No, all of them have the blue roof for the glass panel. I know this thing flips up. There we go. I'm gonna flip that antenna up and get the other antenna up as well. It's a simple spaceship, but similar to Panzer, this thing has 6 wheels. The Panzer has 8 wheels with that rubber assembly wrapping around each set. This one doesn't. There's the exhaust. Look how finely detailed that is, and you can see the type of plastic that is used to construct this robot. So these exhausts will cause the spaceship to go up like that, and to drive it horizontally, fly it horizontally, there are the 8 exhausts in the back. Piloted by Jamie Robinson for the cartoon, and so it flies like that. Nice little accent of melon orange down the top. You get the industrial, hefty looking gunmetal, silver gunmetal accent on each side. What we'll do is we'll place this spaceship to join the group right over here. Right there. How do you like those spaceships, huh? Go up a little, just from the top, and go all the way to the bottom. Here is the front shot for Camp Big Falcon. You can see how imposing each spaceship looks like, how even the way they are placed on the platform, it does form a nice balance. And I know some of them are wonky right now, like for the bomber and for the Frigate, but one can see how well balanced the construction down to the thoughtful design of Camp Big Falcon, and that is what I appreciate. Very, very cool. Looking at the setup from the left side, this is what it looks like. I like that no matter at what angle you try to view the setup, you get to see different textures. Even the sloping design of it, how they made sure that the eagle is all set back, or the Falcon is all set back, and then you get that mild projection on the second level, combining Steve Armstrong's spaceship, the Volt Crewzer, and the other 2 spaceships down here, because it only projects up to here. And then you get the longer projection, which is very even between the 4th spaceship, the Frigate, and the Lander. All looking really good and looking. Thanks guys for spending a few minutes of your time with me as I show you my unboxing, my real-time assembling and putting together of the Volt Inbox DX VOLTES 5 Soul of Chogokin collectible that I recently purchased. And yes, I know, Louis, when are you gonna put them all together and form a robot out of them? I intend on doing that, but right now I want to make sure that it's a little bit more on the comprehensive side, the way I am creating the series on VOLTES 5. So the next time that we will be together, I will make sure that at least we get a picture of how they are put together as a robot. There will be another vlog where we will talk about the different accessories that came. This is not yet still all the pieces that came with that big box when I unopened it, and so I'm going to share with you guys exactly what type of weaponry and what type of arsenal was also included along with the purchase. And I hope you join with me during that time. I am having so much fun just appreciating each and every piece that came with this purchase, that came with this collectible box. And I'm hoping that you guys get a feel of how I take you along for the ride as I real time open them and assemble them. You all get the idea. Hey, it's 40 years in the making for me finally owning a good collectible of VOLTES 5. And hey, if you're new to my channel, thank you. Welcome to Acorn Hill. Welcome to my VOLTES 5 video. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And it'd be great to have you on board and into the circle. For now, this is Louie, enjoying the pieces of VOLTES 5 that I just got. And I'll see you back soon here on Acorn Hill. Bye-bye for now.